Hi friends, we have discussed about dielectrics. If you look at the summary of dielectrics, so these are some of the basic formulae we have come across. Why we are summarizing the basic formulae is apart from the theoretical concept in the university examinations, you will have some problems to be solved or numericals to be solved. In all the university related or competitive examination related question papers, wherever you have and whenever you have numericals that are to be attempted, they all are based on these formulae. So we just need to recap and remember so that we can attempt the numericals like dipole moment formula, permittivity of free space value, capacitance value as a ratio of charge and potential. If the capacitor has a cross-sectional area and distance of separation between plates is given, and then permittivity of the medium, then this formula used to be used. So from this, based on this, you can calculate for free space. When a dielectric medium is introduced between the plates of a capacitor, how you can calculate the capacitance using this formula. And also finding the value of permittivity, relative permittivity, which is called dielectric constant as a ratio. From this, in terms of potential differences, in terms of permittivity differences, you can calculate this value. And then the formula related to polarization as a ratio between volume of the dielectric medium, specimen you have taken, and the dipole moment, and alternative formula for this, and various types of polarizations and susceptibility equation. In the case of a spherical atom, polarization with respect to electronic category, electronic polarization, that formula, and then ionic polarization followed by orientation polarization where you have temperature dependence. Polarizability, you can have an equation in the case of positive ion mass and negative ion mass, followed by local field value. Based on that, Clausius-Mossetti relation or equation, and total polarizability. And from ferroelectricity concept, Curie-Weiss law and dielectric displacement. Of course, this is the general formula for a capacitors. In the case of the capacitor, you can calculate the electric field as a ratio between potential difference and the distance of separation between the plates. So these are the basic formula on which most and majority of the numericals can be solved. Now we shall focus on understanding at another concept called magnetic materials. Now, what are these materials? But before understanding what are these materials, let us understand what type of role they have in general industry and scientific and engineering applications. These magnetic materials play a very important role in industrial and scientific and research fields along with engineering applications. You all know, if you go back to the lower classes of your studies, right from high school, where you have seen the origin of magnetism, that is from the molecular theory of magnetism, what we call as Ewing's molecular theory or Ewing's molecular theory, where each molecule of a material act as a magnet. So the magnetism of material is because of interaction of uncompensated magnetic moments of the constituent atoms or molecules. So based on the response of the materials in an external field, these magnetic materials are divided into three categories, which are again classified into five important groups depending on the alignment of magnetic moments within the materials. So thus They are known as diamagnetic, paramagnetic, ferromagnetic, antiferromagnetic, and ferrimagnetic materials. Of course, ferromagnetic materials are further classified into soft and hard materials. So these materials are widely used in information storage devices. You have pen drive, you have compact disc, you have magnetic tape, etc., used in computer science, where data storage is required. For data storage, magnetic materials are required. So these magnetic materials are widely used in computing industry. That is, information storage devices, magnetic materials are very much required. Now, before understanding further about magnetic materials, just like in the case of dielectrics, let us look at some of the basic definitions. Some of the basic definitions we need to understand. One is called magnetism. What is magnetism? It's a very simple one. The attracting property exhibited by a magnet is known as magnetism. The attracting property exhibited by the magnet is known as magnetism. The second one is something called magnetic dipole. Like an electric dipole, you have here magnetic dipole. In electric dipole, you have charges. In magnetic dipole, you have poles. So we all know that a magnet consists of north and south poles like this. So any two opposite poles separated by a finite distance constitute what is called as a magnet. Each magnet is a dipole. So any two opposite poles separated by a finite distance constitute a magnetic dipole. Whenever you use the word magnetic dipole, naturally you will have magnetic dipole moment. Represented by mu m. Magnetic dipole moment is also known as simply magnetic moment. Alias name for magnetic dipole moment is magnetic moment. Magnetic moment and magnetic dipole moment both are same. Whenever you have a magnetic dipole, you will have magnetic moment. So when we represent a magnet like this and call each one as a pole, so these are poles. When I say pole will have a pole strength. Pole strength is represented by the alphabet m. So if m is the magnetic pole strength and this distance is 2l, that is, length of the magnet is 2l, then and pole strength is m, then magnetic dipole moment or magnetic moment is given by the product of these two. That is, mu m is equal to m into 2l. This is magnetic moment or magnetic dipole moment. Suppose you have taken a circular wire. It has got only one turn. Its area of cross section, let us say A. Through this circular wire, you are sending an electric current of, let us say, I ampere. I ampere current is flowing through a circular wire of one turn with a cross-sectional area A. Then automatically magnetic dipole is created. In that case, its magnetic moment is nothing but the product of current and the cross-sectional area. This is what is to be remembered in the case of a circular wire. So it is ampere meter. If you take the units, what are the units of this? Current is measured in ampere, area is measured in meter square. Ampere meter square is the unit for this. It's a vector quantity. pointing from south to north pole. Now something called, we come across another term called, people call it as magnetic field. Right from my childhood we are understanding. Now these are all magnetic line of forces, what we call. So the surrounding area, space surrounding the magnetic field, magnet, up to which its attracting influence is felt, is to be what is called as magnetic field. So magnetic field is nothing but the space surrounding the magnet, up to which the attracting influence is felt, is what is known as magnetic field. And then something called magnetic field strength, which is called H. Magnetic field strength. Magnetic field strength is nothing but force experienced. Who will experience the force? Suppose in this magnetic field, here I kept a magnet. This is the magnetic field spread across like this for this magnet. Suppose if I keep a unit north pole at a given point in the magnetic field, then this unit north pole, because of this magnetic field, experiences a force. That is what is called magnetic field strength. That is, the magnetic field strength is nothing but the force experienced by a unit north pole placed at a given point in a magnetic field. That is what is to be termed as magnetic field strength, represented by H. So it is ampere per meter. That is the unit for this. Next thing we will come across is something called magnetization. Magnetization, or it is also called intensity of magnetization, represented by the alphabet M. This is nothing but magnetic moment per unit volume. Magnetization is defined as magnetic moment per unit volume. So, movement per unit volume means, what are its units? Ampere per meter. Next, magnetic susceptibility, SUSC. It is psi. It is also the ratio here. It is a ratio between M and H. What is M? Magnetization. What is H? H is the magnetic field strength. We have already defined. Magnetic field strength is represented by H. Magnetization is represented by M. The ratio between these two is nothing but the susceptibility. So, susceptibility is the ratio of intensity of magnetization produced in a sample to the magnetic field strength. Because it is a ratio, therefore it doesn't have any unit at all. Now, of course, already I have shown you, you are also familiar with something called magnetic lines of force. I am not stressing much about this because right from childhood you are familiar with line of force. Magnetic lines of force are nothing but magnetic field characterized by these lines of forces. The next thing we need to understand is magnetic induction. field strength. Magnetic induction field strength, or simply it is known as magnetic flux density, represented by B. You already seen the magnetic line of force, no? So if you take number of magnetic lines of force passing through unit area of cross section of a magnetic material. Definition says density. Density means mass by volume only. That means I have taken, let us say, sample. Line of force are passing through. So the number of magnetic lines of forces passing through a unit cross-sectional area is what is defined as magnetic flux density of that area. That is, B's flux is represented by phi. So B is equal to, phi is the number of, so it's the number of lines of force, phi. Area is equal to A. Then B is equal to phi A. This is flux density. It is expressed in Weber per meter square, or it is also what you know call as Tesla. This is a unit for magnetic flux density. And then we need to understand magnetic permeability. Generally, permeability is the ability of the medium to allow the line of force to pass through. In this case, it is magnetic permeability. It is represented by the alphabet mu. It is the measure of amount of magnetic lines of force penetrating through the material. So if you want to define as a ratio, so mu is equal to, you can say, B by H. What is the B? Magnetic flux density or magnetic induction field strength in the material. And what is H? Intensity, magnetic field intensity. So permeability is the ratio between magnetic flux density to magnetic field intensity. Being a ratio, it doesn't have any units. From this, of course, you can calculate B is equal to by cross multiplying mu H. This is magnetic permeability. Now, when we say permeability, naturally you will have something called the so-called magnetic permeability of free space, which we call as mu naught. Mu naught is what? Same definition you will have. The magnetic permeability of free space is a measure of amount of magnetic lines of forces passing through the air medium. So it is defined as the ratio between mu naught is equal to B naught by H. Ratio of magnetic field induction field strength B naught of free space or air to the applied magnetic field strength. Of course, from this, B naught is calculated as mu naught H, where mu naught is a standard value 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 Henry per meter. Hope you can recollect this formula, because without actually knowing this, I am sure that all of you have used in EAMCET examinations. Permeability of free space 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 Henry per meter. We have already seen permeability and permeability of free space. If you take the ratio, you will what you will get as something called relative permeability. Relative permeability what we call as mu r. It is a ratio between permeability of material to the permeability of free space. That is, mu r is equal to mu by mu naught. So when you cross multiply, mu is equal to mu naught mu r. Now, what is the relation you have seen between B, H and M? B is equal to mu H. What is mu? Mu is equal to mu naught mu r. So substitute mu naught mu r H. So B is equal to mu naught mu r H plus mu naught H minus mu naught H. Nothing will happen now. It's a mathematical drama. B is equal to mu naught mu r mu H you got. So I am obtaining the relation between them. So mu naught mu r mu H, okay. I just added mu naught H and subtracted mu naught H. So mathematically it does make no difference, right? Why we have written like this is, we know that what is MH? Mu r minus. M by H is equal to mu r minus 1. Therefore M is equal to H into mu r minus 1 into H. Okay. So therefore B is equal to M naught H plus mu naught M. That is, B is equal to mu naught, you take common out, H plus M. Now, what is the relation between psi, susceptibility, and mu? The equation tells us B is equal to mu naught into H plus M. Therefore, mu naught is equal to B by H plus M. Mu r is equal to mu by mu naught. That is equal to B by H divided by B by H plus M. If you take the LCM, this is H plus M by H. Mu r is equal to, this is 1 plus M by H. But what is M by H? M by H is equal to psi. Therefore, mu r is equal to 1 plus M by H is equal to 1 plus psi. This is relative permeability. This is what is to be understood. So with these basic definitions, we shall try to understand the magnetic materials part further. Now let us see, where is the origin of magnetic moment? We all know that when we use the word materials, all these materials are simply made up of what? Made up of atoms. Now when we say atom, atom naturally will have a nucleus surrounding which electrons are revolving. Every nucleus is surrounded by electrons that are revolving. As per modern atomic theory, they are revolving in where? Revolving in orbits. Electrons are revolving in orbits. So therefore, because of this orbital motion of electrons, it establishes a magnetic field. How? Electron is a charge, no? When charge is moving current, whenever there is a current, obviously you will have a magnetic field. So when electrons are revolving in their circular orbits around the nucleus, that orbital motion of electrons constitute what is called magnetic field. So therefore, the result of this is we get orbital magnetic moment of electrons. Right? Now, while revolving around the nucleus, now what electrons are doing? Electrons are revolving around nucleus. This all we know. When they are revolving around the nucleus, there is something called spin, or what we call as electron spin. Electrons spin about their own axis. So there is spin happening in the electrons about their own axis. Because of this, it results in again production of magnetic field. Spin of electron also produces magnetic field. Therefore, from this we will get spin magnetic moment of the electrons. See, already we got motion of electrons in the orbitals. It has produced magnetism, and that is orbital magnetic moment. Spin of electrons about their own axis around the nucleus, producing magnetic field, resulting in spin magnetic moment. And another interesting thing is happening also inside nucleus. If you take, what is inside the nucleus? Inside the nucleus you have nucleons. Protons and neutrons are there. These nuclei, they also spin. Whenever there is a spin inside, there is a magnetic field, and therefore from this we will get again spin magnetic moment, spin magnetic moment of nucleus. So there is orbital magnetic moment, there is spin magnetic moment of electrons surround the nucleus, there is spin magnetic moment of nucleus itself. Three different magnetic moments have come. So I am just summarizing the origin of magnetic moment. Carefully listen. We all know that materials are made up of atoms. Atom consists of nucleus surrounded by revolving electrons in orbits. Because electrons are orbiting around the orbitals, there is a motion of electrons in the orbitals. The motion of electrons around the orbital establishes a magnetic field because they are moving. When a charged particle is moving, current is flowing, that means perpendicularly you have to have a magnetic field. So the magnetic field produced by the revolving electrons in the orbital is what is termed as orbital magnetic moment of electrons. That is one thing. Now these electrons are revolving around the nucleus. When these electrons are revolving around the nucleus, they make a spin. The spin is about their own axis, and because of the spin of the electrons about their own axis, there is a magnetic field again created, and that magnetic field produces a magnetic moment, and that magnetic moment is coming because of the spin of the electrons about their own axis. Therefore, it is a spin magnetic moment of the electron. And the third one is these electrons are revolving around the nucleus, and inside the nucleus nucleons are there. Nucleons are also spinning about their own axis. Therefore, they produce the magnetic field. So therefore, the spin magnetic moment produced by the nucleons inside the nucleus is what is to be termed as spin magnetic moment of the nucleus. So there are three different magnetic moment of nucleus coming here. One is orbital magnetic moment, the other is spin magnetic moment of the electron, and the third one is spin magnetic moment of the nucleus. So this is how the origin of magnetic moment can be understood. Now in the next session we shall try to understand each of these magnetic moments, that is orbital magnetic moment, spin magnetic moment of the electron, and magnetic moment due to nucleus. All the three things will be understood one after the other.